engineering and business development for a major aerospace manufacturer whose clients included Boeing, IBM, and Northrop Grumman. He then obtained his Cicerone, BJCP beer and mead certifications and went full-time with his own company, Gourmet Brewing. So please welcome Doug Piper from Gourmet Brewing and the Beer Connoisseur.
Hi, I'm Doug Piper, and I'm an electrical engineer with a love for delicious foods and beverages. Now, after 40 years in aerospace manufacturing, I now enjoy bringing a little science into what I like to cook. I'm also a certified Cicerone beer and mead judge, and I'm also the founder and host of the Beer Connoisseur and Gourmet Brewing's live streams and podcasts. As my appreciation for beverages grows, I now enjoy brewing my own. And Sous Vide has enabled me to brew beer right inside my own home kitchen. Now today, we're going to brew one of the easiest beers that there is, and it's actually one of the oldest styles. It's an English porter. Well, now, for some of you, this might be a style you're unfamiliar with. At one time, it was the most popular beer style in the world and sparked the Industrial Revolution. You can find porters from most breweries, and one of my favorites is Anchor Steam's porter. Now, because this style is so old, its recipes are very broadly interpreted, so frankly, it's hard to go too far wrong with this one. You're almost guaranteed success. Here's our ingredients for about 2 gallons. We have 4.4 pounds of barley grain, consisting of 3.5 pounds of 2-row barley, 4/10 of a pound of Crystal 80, 2/10 of a pound each of chocolate and black patent malt. Now, don't be intimidated by these ingredient names if you're unfamiliar with them, as there are lots of homebrew shops that'll know exactly what you need. Now, we need about 2.5 gallons of filtered water because we don't want any chlorine. Otherwise, you'll get an off flavor. We need 1/4 ounce of Pico hops, 1 yeast packet. I like Lallemand Cavite. After this, our next step is to crush the grain and expose the starch. Now, while this can be done by your local homebrew shop, I prefer a KitchenAid mixer with its grain mill attachment for milling my grain. It's a great job for small batches, and it allows you to crush your grains and brew whenever you want. Now, it's important to preserve the husks when crushing the grains. This will simplify your brew dough. Next, we'll add about 2.2 gallons of filtered water to a standard 5-gallon stainless steel pot. Now, we'll heat the water on the stove and bring it up to 165 degrees F. Having reached 165 degrees, we'll now add our grain bag to the pot. We can now insert our sous vide stick, and we'll place it right into the sous vide pocket on the side of the bag. We'll set our sous vide stick to our mash temperature of 155 degrees F. With our water at the proper temperature, we can now add our grains. We'll carefully stir them so that we eliminate any clumps or any dough balls. Now we allow it to steep or mash for about 1 hour at 155 degrees F. Now this is where sous vide really shines. It adds so much value as it greatly simplifies one of the most difficult steps in brewing beer, and that is the mash. Plus it provides circulation as well as precise temperature regulation. Now after an hour, we have sweet wort. It's basically a barley tea, sort of a pre-beer. We can now remove the sous vide stick from the pocket of the grain bag. After transferring the pot from the stove into the sink, carefully grab the top of the grain bag and lift it up to drain. I like to use a sink colander to eliminate having to hold the bag while it drains. Now we can transfer the 5-gallon pot with the colander and the grain bag back to the stove. I like to save time by allowing the grain to continue to drain while the wort is brought up to a boil. Now that we have a good rolling boil, we can now add bittering hops into a small hop bag and then place it into the boiling wort, just as you would a tea bag. Hops are essential to provide balance to the beer. It's important to allow the steam to escape our pot and avoid off flavors. I found putting the top on an angle is ideal. After an hour of boiling, we're ready to cool our wort to yeast temperatures. Here we're transferring the beer into a 3-gallon stainless steel keg, which I find is ideal to cool the wort, and I like these for small batches. They're so versatile and easy to use. Now to speed up cooling, I place the keg back into our 5-gallon brew pot and I fill it with cool tap water. Now here's where the sous vide stick really helps out again. We can place it into the cool tap water and then circulate it with the freezer blocks. We adjust the temperature of the stick to yeast temperatures, and now you'll know when it has cooled down to the proper temperature. It does take an hour or so. Now that it's cooled down to yeast pitching temperatures, we can carefully open our keg. Now we carefully cut open our yeast packet, but we'll only need about half a packet for 2 gallons. So I fold them and then save the rest into a vacuum sealed bag for the next batch. It is important to vacuum seal it. After adding the yeast, we need to close everything up so that nothing can contaminate our yeast and wort mixture. Now, yeast needs oxygen to do its job, so we need to oxygenate our mixture. One of the best ways to do this is to just shake a sealed keg. There's enough oxygen in the top of the keg that it will thoroughly oxygenate the wort. Now that we have our wort and yeast mixture, we need to maintain about 80 degrees F for Kvike yeast until fermentation is complete in a day or two. This is another step where a sous vide stick really simplifies what would otherwise be a challenging step to meet. Finally, we get to add our airlock, which allows the gases out, but nothing can get in. Now, our beer will ferment for a day or two at 80 degrees F with the help of our sous vide stick. And we're going to be tasting the beer during the Q&A portion of the International Sous Vide Association's December ISVA Best of 2020 Sous Vide Showcase.
I love seeing Doug's stuff. He does such a good job putting everything together. And as a beer lover, I love seeing all the cool stuff that he does with sous vide and really pushing it forward. I had a great interview with Doug on exploring sous vide. We went into a lot of information about the cool stuff that he's doing there. And if you are interested in beer in general, you should check out Gourmet Brewing. It's at crowdcast.io/gourmet brewing. I'll stick that in the comments. He does interviews. I think it's once a month with a lot of brewers and a lot of really cool people out there. Doug's great to follow and really, really knowledgeable and great guy. We hung out in New Orleans at the IFBC conference and had a really good time there. He's also joining us on the panel that's coming up at the end of this conference, or at the end of this showcase at the isva.net/panel. And if you want more sous vide showcase awesomeness, we've got our date night showcase coming up next month. Like I said, you can sign up for that at the isva.net/date night. It'll help you get inspired to create some special meals for that special someone. The next demo is by